The town of Plainville. Established in 1721 at the geographical center of Connecticut.
For those that are watching or listening, we are continuing with the Town of Plainville budget work sessions for fiscal year 2022. All right, Robert, we got a spreadsheet that Rob developed for us considering all the things we've done so far and where we're left. So you want to review that with us, or?
Yes. Yes.
Thanks.
Along the top was the recommended budget, which showed an expenditure increase of $1,576,561, which was a 2.52% increase, which if adopted as proposed would have resulted in a mill rate increase of 0.67. During the budget work sessions, the town council made adjustments to the town, the general government budget, made a reduction of $110,000, and you can see the individual line items. And so when you go down to where it says the adjusted town council general government proposed budget 31021, that means the general government increase was reduced from $691,000 to $581,000. You can see the number up top on the general government increase now becomes $581,000.
Oh.
That represents a 3.1% increase from the previous 3.7% increase. Those numbers aren't written on there, but that now means that the general government increase was reduced from 3.72% to 3.1%. You go down to the lower area where you see additional town council proposed adjustments, which is the Board of Ed reducing by $202,000. That would reduce the Board of Education's increase from $884,000 up above to $682,000 down below. That would reduce their increase to 1.74% increase. You remember when it was presented, it was 2.26%.
Yep.
The bottom line is that if you make confirm those changes as is, lowering the 110 and the 202, that leaves you with an expenditure increase of $1,263,761. That's an increase. That's a percentage increase of 2.02% from the overall increase of 2.52%. That would result in a mill increase of 0.45.
Okay.
The numbers at the below is just a what if. To get to a 0 mill increase would mean an additional reduction or reduction in expenditures or increase in revenues of $630,000 to get to a 0 mill increase.
Okay.
All right.
Yep.
This wasn't formatted the way I would. This is a Rob Buden format, but we got through it.
It's okay, Rob, we got it.
We have different ways of doing things
the
to get
more
this.
information you put on there, the cloudier it gets. So, I tried to just streamline it the way you want it. So I hope it's okay.
Thank you for doing that. Thanks for the walkthrough, Robert. It certainly helped
It took me a minute to study it myself.
us get to that understanding. Hi, Jesse.
Sorry, I'm late.
No, that's okay. We waited a bit, but we just went over the spreadsheet that you're looking at. I don't know if you have any questions, because you certainly just sat down and didn't get a moment to look at it, but,
No, I'm sure I will as we move forward. So
Okay.
Just continue.
yep, that's what we've done so far to this point, okay? All right. So we have, for the next steps here, we have a few departments that we have not approved yet. So if it's agreeable with the council, well, I believe there's 4. And then we haven't done anything to capital per se, so we'll, or the Board of Education. So tonight, what I'd like to do is walk through those remaining 4 departments and get those squared up, and then we'll move on to the rest of this, if that's all right with everybody?
Yes.
No objections? Okay, the first one is D87, Economic Development, please.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
motion to, I'm sorry, I have to get into the right.
Is everybody where they need to be for that?
No, not yet, I'm sorry. Okay. Motion to fund Department 170 in the amount of $70,800.
Okay, I have a motion, I have a second. Is there any discussion on that motion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries, that takes care of that. The next one I have is D07, the Town Council.
Madam Chair,
Yes,
motion to fund Department 101 in the amount of $74,309.
I have a motion and a second. Just to revisit this account, the reason we didn't approve it had to do with the Main Street $1,000. Is that why this is outstanding?
Yes, you asked us to
Right.
provide some additional information with respect to that. And what I'd like to do, if you do approve it, is to have the executive director of Main Street come forward before the beginning of the new year to, give a presentation and answer questions as well with regards to the services that he would provide, if you would like to have that done as well.
Okay. Anybody have any thoughts on that or comments about it? I know it's not a lot of money. We held it out because we were trying to decide about, the values of having that versus whatever we're going to do locally. So does everybody think that's a good plan, to go ahead and approve it and then have them come in and talk to us about some of the things that they could provide for us?
That's fine with me.
Yeah.
You're good with that?
Yeah, I'd like to hear a
I'd
little
love
more.
to have them come and
Okay,
present.
'Cause
so
it-
we're going to approve it as is, but then we're going to learn a little bit more about what they can do.
They have a program that they're starting to, put out about tax incremental financing for making improvements to your Main Street and downtown. And I think it's an interesting concept. And I'm not sure it's appropriate for Plainville, but I think it's certainly worth listening to and perhaps, considering.
Okay, all right, well, let's go ahead and then we'll look forward to getting some more information once we move along. All right, so I have a motion and I believe I had a second. Okay, all right, all those in favor? Any opposed? Thank you, that one's taken care of. D43, Town Manager's Office.
Madam Chair,
Yes,
motion to approve Department 131 in the amount of $346,898.
Is that correct?
No,
It's not,
That was
398.
it's 344, 398, because you already reduced the
The 2,500.
2,500 from 52435.
What is it, 340?
It's 344, 398
Oh,
currently.
398, okay, that was the department request, not the manager request.
That-
We're going by.
Right.
Okay. I'd like to revise my motion.
go ahead.
A motion to approve Department 131 in the amount of $344,398.
Second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion on that? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, next I have D47.
Madam Chair,
Go ahead.
motion to fund Department 132 in the amount of $128,185.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on that motion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. All right, I think those were the only outstanding departments that we hadn't taken care of. Or is there more, Rob?
There's a transfers out, which would go, would be dependent on the capital budget.
Correct.
Okay,
And,
Was it-
and the Board of Ed, that's the only two you haven't really,
okay. All right, so transfers out. Where am I going to find that, Robert? What page is that on? That was not on my list here.
no, it's not. It's, that would be on I-13.
you'll see down on non-operational costs, a total of $313,850, which would be the general government contribution to the capital project.
Okay, can we hold off on this one first until we go through the capital? Okay, can we keep this as a marker?
Yes.
And we'll review capital first?
Yeah, oh, yeah, yeah.
Okay, thank you. Next, can we do Board of Education? Get that one taken care of also?
I'm gonna throw this in a tub of water. Have it off and it keeps ringing.
Yep.
You're wanted.
Okay,
I'm gonna throw this in the,
Yeah, you have to open that door.
What page are
we'll
you
take a
at?
pause. Let's take a moment here.
Sure doesn't get locked out.
What page are you on?
What's that?
What page are you on?
We're on, is it J12? That's the board's request? Is that what I should be looking at?
Yes.
J12.
Okay, education. Okay.
Madam Chair, just a question. We did not, we mentioned the 202 at the end of last night's meeting, but we never did a motion on it, as far as I recall, right?
Do we?
No,
That's why it's listed on the summary I gave
Right.
you as proposed for tonight's,
Yeah.
with tonight's date.
Okay, so we're going to approve the boards as they presented it, and then that 200 is coming off on,
You-
is that right?
No, you-
I guess,
No.
202, and then
Then-
whatever that number is, that.
Correct.
Then we could have
Right.
entertained a motion to,
Yeah.
yeah,
Right,
If there's no further adjustments.
you're right.
correct.
okay,
Okay.
Yes.
all right. So, Board of Education, may I have a motion to approve, please?
Madam Chair,
Go ahead.
and if, Mr. Budin, if you could just check my math, but I'll make a motion to fund the Board of Education in the amount of $39,826,972.
Correct.
second?
Okay, I have a motion and a second discussion. None? Okay. All right, so I have a motion, I have a second. If there's no further discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Okay. Capital, shall we review the capital?
We have used K5 in the past, K5 and K6 as the list. And the Board of Ed has, their list is on K9.
Okay. K5 and K9. All right. I have some suggestions that we've written up, which I'm going to be circulating to the members here, and take a look at them. These are certainly just to begin talking about capital and some ideas about changes to capital. So we'll make sure everybody gets a copy of this. Do you have a copy?
I do, thank you.
All right. I have one. Jesse, can you take one and then make sure Rob and I'll have a chance to look at it. Thank you. Again, these are suggested points for talking about capital that we've come up with.
You have one, Dave?
Rob, do you need one?
Thanks, Jess.
Do you have one for Rob?
Thank you. Do we need more copies? We can make more. Okay.
Oh, thank you. All right, I'll give you a moment to look them over, and then we can have a conversation about it. Some of these we've already taken care of, as you'll see. Others are additional changes. Oh, these are kind of, there's a mixture of things going on here. All right, let's see, capital is that.
On the fire department.
Okay.
Yeah.
And would these just be, if approved, you would take this money from how much the general fund contributes to the budget?
Well, the general fund's contributing 310?
313.
313. 313 is what the general fund contribution is.
Well, no, are you going to answer my question?
You
need a-
didn't
So you would
you didn't
redu-
complete the question, so complete.
No, I did. Would you decrease the amount, the contribution from the general fund if you took out these capital items on the list?
Yep.
Okay.
Can I ask a question?
Oh, of course, go ahead.
I just, because it's not broken, and I have a pretty good idea of which is operational and which
I know
one is
they're
capital.
mixed, they're
Is it-
mixed in.
I come up with $306,000 from capital. Is that what the number everyone else has?
That's good with me.
That's the fire truck, fire alarms here, Chromebooks, student Chromebooks, staff Chromebooks, and staff laptops, correct?
And you got that to 306?
306, that's what I
306,
came
okay.
You know, just a suggestion, on the Board of Education side, the Chromebooks and the laptops was cut in half. And another way to go is to cut it out completely and see if the Board of Education can get the CARE grant or the America First or the rescue program to cover the laptops and Chromebooks. It'd be a savings of another $100,000, roughly almost $100,000.
I thought, though, that we said last night that if it was something that we've been funding from year to year, that it wouldn't go under that.
We didn't fund it last year.
The Chromebooks, we fund every
No, I
year.
thought we canceled that. We took it out of the budget last year.
Last year was a little unique in terms of the Board of Ed because they had used some of their year-end estimated savings and they pre-purchased some technology with it, and I don't remember exactly what the number was, but they did pre-purchase some technology that took it out of the capital last year. Robert, do you remember the number of that, or?
I don't know offhand, but
I don't either.
I guess the only point I would make is if what you propose is 306, only up to 313 would impact the mill rate. So if you lowered it another 100,000, that would give you 7,000 more to lower the mill rate to get to 313, and the other would just lower other sources of revenue, which might be the unassigned fund balance. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
On the issue that Councilwoman Thompson just brought up about the, supplement and not the plant, I think it would be, I would agree that I think it would be difficult to make a case that an item that is on a replacement cycle is suddenly supplementary. I think that could be problematic when you're replacing these on an annual basis, and then to say it's something over and above, yeah. I think it could be
Certainly it would be a
problematic.
question for the superintendent to answer, because I don't think we could sit here and actually say that would be the,
No, but I'm just saying, I think it could be an issue.
possibly.
From my experience, and I did manage a number of grants that have to be supplementing and not supplanting, it would certainly be a serious question that I would ask.
Madam Chair,
Go ahead.
did you not say that the Board of Ed might have money left over in the budget at the end of the year that we
I have,
purchased?
I have no idea where they are right now in terms of their, what do they call them, realized savings?
Yes.
At the end of the year. I have no idea what that is at this point in time. I think if we're going to maybe suggest some of these changes, we would ask them to help us with that, and ask them to look at this plan, ask them if they had any ability to do something similar as last year, where they had some realized savings that they were able to take and purchase some of their technology in the current year.
Might I suggest this? Not take action this evening,
Right.
and
This is just discussion purpose.
set it up for maybe action at your regular meeting on Monday evening, and between now and Monday evening, I can talk to Steve LePage about possible, and I've talked to him about realized savings, and, he indicated that he, 2 months ago, that he felt there would be some realized savings.
Sure.
He didn't make a commitment to it because, they were only halfway through the year, but he felt relatively positive that they were doing okay. So I think getting an update now,
Yep.
as far as, understanding that it's, there's still several months to go, might assist the council in making a final decision with regards to what you're proposing.
I think that would be helpful. I certainly would like them to be part of this discussion. It affects their programming and their needs and some other, they have a lot of different sources of revenue. I understand there's rules, but we'll see. So what I think we would, if you don't mind, put some of these particular ones, Chromebooks, student Chromebooks, staff Chromebooks, laptops, and maybe there are some other technology items they have and that could be offered. If you could do that, we would appreciate that. The other items that we have on here from capital in terms of the town side is the fire department truck. We're going to look at another way of funding that, so we would take that out of capital. And the other item only is the town hall fire alarm.
Okay, how
So can we talk about those things?
about, which isn't on this list, but how about the 200,000 for the basin cleaner? Under roadways,
Under roadways?
yeah,
Okay, you want to talk about that?
yeah.
What's your pleasure?
Well, he did say that he could wait another year on that, right? Last night?
Well, he's already going to.
The cost
Yeah.
is, the cost is 400,000, so,
Oh, okay.
so he was going 2.2.
200 this year and then.
200 next
Do we have 200 in yet or no? This is
No.
the beginning of it?
This is the beginning of it.
Okay.
And it has been in the CIP for a while, I believe. I know it's been planned for.
Okay, that's a big item.
It is.
My only concern with that item is the amount of road work we have going on and planned. And we're running on a unit that's, 26 years old at this point, something like that, that's kind of being held together. My concern is, yeah, you can wait a year, but can you wait 2? If we push this down the road another year and start next year.
Madam Chair, can I make a suggestion on that? Instead of taking the whole 200, leave 100,000 in there, cut 50% out of it.
Well, I don't know that helps. I mean, it's
Revisit.
an idea, yes, of course, and I'm not going to say no to anything. But, well, Robert, we heard from Dominic. Can we hear from him again and say this is under consideration and,
Well, and maybe I'm misunderstanding the intent of some council members. Is your intent to reduce the capital budget by $313,850?
That would affect the,
Because anything beyond that would not impact the mill rate.
understood.
So is the goal?
So we need to get to 313.
Right,
Because that is the amount of the contribution from
right,
tax,
right. So if
tax source.
So if you win $200,000 below that, the only thing that, you would be reducing the amount of money you put from unassigned fund balance
Right.
towards capital.
Yep.
So,
Because most of this funding comes from grants and other sources, but there's 681 in unassigned fund balance
Right.
that's being used.
right.
Okay. Does that make sense? Does everybody understand that?
I get it. Yep.
Okay.
Of course, just, if you did reduce, say, monies beyond the 313, and of course you were willing to perhaps use to support anything, how should I put this? You were willing to contribute $681,000 from fund balance to the capital program. And at least that was what was proposed. So if you reduced below the 313, you could take the savings in the fund balance and say, we're going to apply that against the general fund increase to 400,000.
Right.
So I mean,
Yep.
that's if that's another way as well.
Okay. So
Madam Chair. could
we
I-
have a few, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry, just, is there a way without, making too many spreadsheets, just, maybe a 5 or 7 year history of how we've contributed to capital? Where the funding has come from
Right.
capital? Is that something that's not?
I have that. I mean, do you want capital total funding in gross in all sources of revenue or just general fund?
I
contribution?
think how it's broken out in the budget book.
Yeah. So you want gross and all the revenue sources that are associated?
Yes, if it's something that
Okay.
can be done by Monday
Yeah, that's not
night.
very different.
No, I have all of that. I can pull it together
Right.
on a 5-column
Okay, yeah,
spreadsheet.
that's
Okay.
fine, okay.
You want 5 years?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, thank you.
I'll review it before he gives it to you.
Reformat.
And then it'll reformat it, change it, and
There it
make
is,
different
Rob.
colors. So, yeah.
I know that in the past couple of years, we have been taking significantly more out of our unassigned fund balance to support the capital, at least last year, certainly, and the year before, I think, as well. There's been,
And to a certain degree, I felt more comfortable as the manager to say I would prefer that you used unassigned, if you're going to use unassigned fund balance, I'd rather you use it to support capital than you would to use it to support the ongoing operational expenses.
right, got it,
So that's the general thought, so.
yep,
But on the other hand, the 400,000 that we have supporting the general budget, the town budget, I don't think is excessive either at this point in time. I think if you got up, higher than that, much higher than that, that might raise some eyebrows.
okay.
Chris, let me ask you a question. You just want bottom line totals, town board, you don't want individual line item detail?
No,
Or really okay.
We don't want town board. We just want the source
Yep,
of the revenue.
I mean, if you, yeah.
We don't want the
I don't want you
expenditure
going.
Yeah, no, I don't want to make it too busy. That's why I'm asking the question, so, okay, good.
That's fine, thank you.
Okay, so back to our list. We're going to talk with the Board of Education, or ask them to help us, give them some of what we suggested, and perhaps they have some other ideas that would help us.
Okay.
Doesn't necessarily have to be them, but these things we've listed, we can tell them what our thoughts are, and then get their input and see what they think would work for them. We have the fire truck. Is everybody in agreement with that
Yes.
plan at this point, so we can put that aside? And the other item suggested tonight was to postpone the fire alarm for $50,000 for the town hall. How does everybody feel about that? I know that Robert explained that we're kind of, there's a certain amount of risk involved in not doing it at this point in time.
Yeah, if I could have the weekend to think about that one, I'd like to, I can't say I'd support that right now, but
Okay.
I would like some, more than,
Okay,
12 minutes
you want
to
to
think
hold
about
on that?
yeah.
It's a tough, and I think not to speak for anybody else, but I would say if we can if there's something else that we can swap out or use to get to where we would like to get, that's fine. So you want to hold off on that?
Yeah,
Okay. All right, we can do that.
Yeah, and I agree that we definitely need the Board of Ed input, you know, it's a pretty significant cut to their instructional technology, and, I think that we definitely need their input. And,
Yeah, well, we'll ask for their advice and what they think, and there may be some other options for us.
And it is a replacement cycle too, which would kind of throw off the grade levels too, you know, and, so.
I know that there have been instances where the Chromebooks, the price of them had changed from when we first reviewed capital and when they first looked at the Chromebooks. Kevin said, you know what, I got some better deals, so those numbers were reduced before final decisions were made. So I think there's things that happen. I'm sure they need what they need.
Yeah,
but
and the important thing.
there's some ways to get to it.
is we need to collaborate and get
Yep.
your input.
I will answer one question that was asked before, sorry. On the Chromebooks for this current year, we appropriated $35,000 towards capital for this year, but part of the realized savings, that was another $90,000. So
Yep.
essentially, it was $125,000 for this year for Chromebooks.
Right.
Chromebooks and laptops. I will
Yes.
also say that the vendors for Chromebooks and laptops, everybody's backed up, so it does take a little bit longer right now because everybody's trying to buy them. So when the price hits and we're able to buy a, big block of them, if you will, whatever number Kevin needs to buy at the time, we try to jump on it at that time. Otherwise, we may have to wait 2 or 3 months, depending on the backlog. So I know Kevin is really diligent in looking at prices and trying to figure out when is the best time to buy the block and number we need for what we need to get, so.
Okay. All right. So does anybody have any other thoughts regarding capital? Of course, we're not going to approve this tonight because there's some work to be done and more information to be gathered. Is there anything else that anybody would like to have any more information on?
Again, on Chromebooks, can we find out, I'm assuming we keep a certain amount of Chromebooks as spares, because in case students break them or whatever. Could
Yep.
we find out how many spare Chromebooks the Board of Ed already has sitting around that are, just backups?
Yep. Robert, are you making that note for us?
Yes, I am.
Thank you. Okay.
Yeah, I would imagine there's always spares, plus what do we have, 112 disenrollments as well, so.
Yep. I'm sure there's reasons for damage,
Yeah. So there's-
items that have to get replaced and swapped out and things like that, but yeah, we can get that.
Came back.
I can tell you when my son's Chromebook came after he graduated, came back, it was in rough shape. I mean,
Yeah. Well, they're getting them in elementary grades, right? Grades 3 through 12, so there's a certain amount of, I'm sure, stuff that happens. Yep.
And I guess he said like the end of life, which means that it wouldn't be supported in terms of, support or parts, is 5 years, but what I've read, the 4-year replacement cycle is pretty typical.
Okay. All right. Anything else that anybody wants to talk about tonight? We've got a couple things we're going to revisit on Monday, if we can get the information for Monday, Robert.
Yes,
We still have time to come to some final decisions on some of this as well.
I'll try to get it tomorrow and get it to you before the weekend if possible. So I'll
Oh,
talk,
okay.
I'm going to send Steve an email in a couple minutes if you adjourn and
Yep.
when you adjourn, and then
Yep.
I'm sure he'll get back to me.
Okay, thank you. That would be great. All right. Is there anything else that we should be looking at? I think we've covered all the outstanding items, Rob. I just want to make sure we didn't skip any.
Yes, on my list right now, all you have is the 840, which is the capital transfers out, the Board of Ed. Actually, you just approved the Board of Ed, correct?
We did
Yes,
approve the
okay,
Board of
I'm
Ed.
sorry. So it's just capital and 840
Okay,
that you need to approve, and then the bottom line numbers. And
okay. All right.
So we will put a discussion on the council meeting for Monday night for budget discussion. We put that under
Wherever you, do you want us to come in earlier for a little work session, or whatever you think?
whatever you-
How would you like to handle this, folks?
I won't be able to come in before 7 on Monday, the way my schedule is right
Okay.
now. But
So let me put it under any other business
Oh,
at the end of the meeting.
At the end of the meeting?
Yeah.
That would work for
yeah,
everybody?
that's fine.
That would work, because I think if we do it before, there's, we're gonna be looking at the clock, and
I know.
and
Yeah.
maybe not doing things as thoughtfully as we could if we,
Okay. Yep, if you could,
And then we'll schedule the fact that you can take action after that, after you have that discussion as well.
that would be fine. Everybody good with that? We're going to be here? Okay. All right, unless there's anything else that we need to take care of tonight, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
Madam Chair, motion to adjourn?
And a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, great. Thank you for all your help, everybody.